Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the feed. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bellows Falls and Keene, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike and Marty. We're here today with Casey Cota. We're going to be talking about some politics and things happening, issues happening around the Vermont side. But first, Marty, with local events.
So at the Bellows Falls Opera House this week is the second week of Transformers 1. It's going to be playing through October 1st. And I do have a slide this week. There was actually one available. The classic movie is truly a classic. If you haven't seen it, you have to go see it on the big screen. It's Forrest Gump. It's being sponsored by James Plumbing and Heating. Also happening at the Opera House on Thursday, and I regret that we weren't on top of this sooner because we do try to promote it, is the Overflow the Opera House event. That's the event where the folks from our place will be manning the doors from 10 to 4 at the Opera House with the idea that they will fill each seat in the Opera House with a bag of groceries. I believe that you don't necessarily have to drop your groceries off at the Opera House, though. I think you can also drop them off at our place if that's a more convenient place. And I didn't see it specifically, but I also know that they never will turn down cash donations. And cash donations actually help them sometimes fill in the gaps for foods that they're not getting. Like they might be getting 25 things of peanut butter, but there's no bread. Or they might be getting macaroni and cheese mix, but no milk, to go with it. So just some things to keep in mind. This Friday at the Hetty Green Park is the last farmer's market. There's been no more, I don't know if there's going to be, zero farmer's market, but the last farmer's market, we've gone dark.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay, we're going to keep going. The last farmer's market is from 4 to 7. They're going to have all their vendors. They're going to have the 2 food vendors that they've had all summer, the barbecue vendor, and then I think it's Mendel's or Mendelssohn's Kitchen. And the food's really good. It's very inexpensive. It's supporting local. And check it out because it's the last one. Food, if you're looking for food, and Saxon's River does things big and they do them well. So this Saturday from noon to 4:30 is a chili fest. They're going to be blocking the main street of Saxon's River, much like they do for the Saxon's River 4th of July. And there's all kinds of things happening. They're going to have Pleasant Valley Cabaret. There's fair type things. There's a chili cook-off. So please go support Saxon's River. I believe the beneficiary is, I think they call it 28 Main Street, or it's a community building.
It's 24 Main
24.
Street. It's the community.
I knew I wasn't going to get that.
I
I wasn't going to get that number right. And then on Saturday night, after you've had chili, you can go to the Bellows Falls Opera House for the 3rd installment of this year's Ray Masuko concert series. And it's Mary Gauthier.
Right.
I think I'm saying that right. No, it's Gaucher. Is it Gaucher? I don't know. Mary and Ray Wiley Hubbard. I tend to say Riley for that, so I am totally butchering their names, but there they are on the screen. And there are tickets available. There's not a lot of tickets available, but there are tickets available for that concert, and I'm sure it will be a good one.
Yes. Well, thank you.
I will not be there. I do have tickets. If anyone wants tickets, they can contact me. I will give them to you.
Welcome, Casey.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell us, why are you running as an independent? Why are you running, and then why are you running as an independent?
I'm running because I felt a lot of Vermonters, especially working Vermonters, haven't had a voice for a long time. And I felt that running as an independent gave me an opportunity to show that I was running for the people of the community, not for a party, and that I don't want to answer to either party. I want to answer to the people that elected me in, and so that they have a voice, and that my responsibility is to them and nobody else.
Right. And what do you see as?
I was just going to follow up on that and say, what do you kind of see as inherently, or what's becoming inherently flawed with the parties?
I think the inability to be able to listen to the local constituents when they have issues about a law, or because they're so ingrained that we have to vote party lines, that we don't listen to the laws and then bring back issues that are going to affect the local community. So whatever the law may be, there's going to be an impact. If we add a new program, there's going to be a tax.
Yeah.
It has to be paid for somehow. And I think when people don't get to hear how that's going to be paid for, because that ultimately affects their lives and how they're going to be able to pay those bills. And I feel like we used to listen years ago. Back in the 80s, we used to work cross-party lines. We came up with solutions that was best for Vermonters and our country. And I felt like it was important that we need to get back to that even though we may have disagreements on different issues, we need to figure out how to compromise and come to a solution that works for all Vermonters. And that's why I felt like I had an opportunity to be able to communicate that to the people of our area, to really know that I'm doing this for them, not for me.
Right. And I think you've hit on some really key points, is that everything is so interdependent now, and people everyone wants to have their children have a good education. And so they go, well, we need to have this, this, and this. And then the legislature passes certain things to try to do that. But then when along comes a property tax bill that's double digits.
You're right.
It's crazy.
And I've heard that a lot, that people they're really stressed out. They're not sure how they're going to make their bills, how they're going to do it. Because this is a great place to raise a family. It's a beautiful area. 8th generation Vermonter. So obviously I'm connected here. It's important. And I think knowing that we need to create more opportunities to keep our youth here. And when they feel like there's not enough opportunities or affordability to, you move out of mom and dad's house and now I got to get an apartment. And if it's at a rate that they can't afford, now they have to make different choices. Maybe it's not living in Bells Falls or Vermont, and they're moving out. And I feel sometimes we tend to lose our best and brightest because affordabilities, opportunities, and we need to keep them here because they're the lifeblood that's going to keep this state moving.
So I have a two-part question.
Sure.
The first part is, so you are the head of Cota & Cota. Pretty big operation, pretty established operation. You've expanded and you have lots of different divisions. So I'm guessing that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to balance, first part, how are you going to balance that with being a legislator? And the second part is, but being in that position that you're in, how do you feel that gives you a unique perspective to, let's say, because you have employees and you are right in the trenches, to the, like a unique perspective to the average Vermont and the average Vermonter's needs?
Sure. Great questions. And the first one, so probably about 7-8 years ago, we've had transitions over the years, whether buying my brother's half of the business out, bringing my sister back in. And what we did is we created an executive team that we all share duties. And so when somebody's on vacation, we're able to do that. And so we cross-train a lot of people to be able to do those things. I'm still going to be in Vermont.
Yeah,
true.
You're not going to be that far away.
Right. Obviously with all of our technologies, you can still be connected. I talked to a couple people that have office space up there so that I can be able to go over, use their spot where it's quiet and do some work either at lunch times or in between meetings. And so that part, it will have to be, what's the new term, hybrid, how to get there.
Well, your sister did the job for a while. So
Yeah.
You have
So I supported her and I told her,
Yeah.
I'll take care of your job while you're away. And I know that
So it's sort of reciprocal.
they will do it as well.
Yeah.
And that's how good families work, right? We all pitch in. If somebody's sick, you step up and take care of it. And on the question about how do I think my experience being in the business world with Cota & Cota and being able to work with people, what I've realized over the years, whether you have $10 to your name or $1 million to your name, everybody's house is their most valuable possession, and it should be treated as if it was the most valuable thing that they're ever going to own. And what I've realized is that Vermonters are full of pride, and that they seldom ask for help when they need it. I don't know whether it's the stubbornness or just the rugged individualism that we learn to self-rescue at an early age. But what I also found was that there are people that truly need help, and that just through some of our philanthropic stuff that we do, that we don't publicize, we just go and we help customers out. We help them find solutions for their heating needs. We've had people that their heating system failed, and we knew they didn't have the capacity to be able to do it. We found ways where we could do that for free for them, because it's important to keep people warm. And so going into each home, I understand the real sense of struggle that people have on different things, and it's whether it's how do I get to my job, how do I get my kids to school, and with all of our employees, we really work hard to make sure that they understand family comes first, and I think that's what builds strong communities, is that knowing we're all interconnected one way or another. So whether it's myself or my employees, we go into your home and there's a level of trust knowing that we're going to hopefully take care of you as if you were our grandmother, and that we're going to treat you as such. I think that has allowed me to sort of have a greater appreciation for the people that live in our area, and how hard they work every day just to get through the day-to-day stuff. And so seeing that, I want them all, including my employees, to be able to continue to build a strong life, get ahead. If they're renting, be able to have an opportunity to own a home. The same for our customers. So as I love to see people progress and have their own success stories, and that's really what drives me. That's why I got into coaching and all that stuff, was watching people succeed and grow and maybe do things they didn't think was even possible. So.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
So you're talking about people's homes is like everyone, that's a big thing for everyone. I think another thing that ties into that, and that you have a very unique perspective on, because you are in the trenches, is how people are heating their homes.
Sure.
And that's one of the first things that can be a huge food insecurity, and then heat in the winter. So what do you feel about, I believe it's Act 18. What do you feel about that, and what are your thoughts? Because you probably have a closer lens than the average bear.
And we've been following it for the last probably 5 years, when it started as a Global Warming Solution Act. And things that were concerns back then about it are still the concerns today. What we found was that I think part of the mistake that the legislature did was that they made mandates. And not goals.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of us in our own lives had goals when we were young, and then 5 years later, those goals adjusted and changed.
Exactly.
As I explained to a couple people, I said, when I was in fifth grade, my goal, not my mandate, was I was going to play for the Boston Celtics.
How'd that work out for you?
And I was going to be over 6 feet, and I was going to shoot better than Larry Bird. But if I had made it a mandate, it would have failed.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have given myself an opportunity to succeed or have some other sense of achievement. And then if I was to penalize somebody because that mandate wasn't real or wasn't attainable, that would have set that up for failure. And so what I felt is that, we should have had goals rather than mandates, because it's easier to achieve them, and we've been achieving those along the way. My concern is that most of these programs, where there's always going to be a fee tied to it, if you're going to try and get people to switch, and it's not going to be based upon the free market coming up with a great system that's going to save you money. We've been installing heating systems for 83 years. We cannot sell a unit if it's not going to pay for itself in 5 to 6 years, especially on an item that's going to last you anywhere from 25 to 30 years. So you want to know that I'm building equity and I'm going to save money. And if it's going to pay for itself, it's a no-brainer. And I think we took that out of the Act 18 instead of having sort of that be the goal, because it ties into my main theme is affordability, in making Vermont affordable. And so this is going to require a very expensive fee. There's been 2 independent studies that have been in the billions, and that's the reality of that's what it's going to end up costing if you're going to convert all these things over to electric. You know, these are installations that could cost $10,000 to $20,000, and that's a lot of money. And if you think there's 244,000 homes in the state, that's a lot of dollars.
Yes.
And as we all know, there's a challenge with the workforce that people can't afford to live here and work in the service industries. That adds another layer of challenges to meet the mandates. And that's why actually today the lawsuit's been filed by Conservation Law Group of not meeting the first mandate. And that's the struggle now is the state through this lawsuit is now going to have to try and force certain things to happen that will be expensive on the people. And the problem is it always comes down to the end consumer, no matter what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
And that makes me sad, you know, because I know how hard everybody works to make ends meet. Food costs are up, all those different things, and that I'm worried about people having to make hard choices, whether it's between food and heating their home, or putting gas in their car, or paying their electric bill. Either way. And I worry about that because there's a lot of people we care and love about.
So a lot of people like right on the edge, right on
Yeah.
the hairy edge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are stressed out and they're not sure how they're going to make it to the next week or the next day.
Yeah. So how would you work to get, one of the things we mentioned prior to what's starting here was getting young people to stay and thrive in Vermont because they're our future.
Sure. I think working hard to show there's lots of opportunities here. We're a tourist state, and anybody says differently. You know, it's no longer a farming state anymore. It's a tourist state, and that's where the dollars come in. And I think what we need to do is we need more people to understand the service industries are things that we need to have a supply of young people in and show them that there's opportunities. Not everybody is cut out for college, and I know plenty of kids that have gone to college that they're struggling to get by. They're not making the money that they thought they were going to. And I've seen people in the trades that have been able to do well. I've had some young individuals who are 26 and they bought their first home.
Yeah.
And so, and they're not ridden with that debt of
Student loan debt.
student loans that could, you know, sort of put that sort of anvil that's hanging over their head financially to be able to get to it. And I think that's an opportunity to get people to stay here, knowing that they can do something that they can make a really great wage at. Also, creating more housing opportunities. You know, the figures that were thrown out were short 38,000 homes. Only 2,500 were built in the state last year. So obviously we're at a deficit. I would speculate that over 2,000 of those homes were built in Burlington area.
Oh, yeah, I would speculate
might
that
be
too.
right.
Yeah.
And probably 400 of those that are left over out of the 500 are probably second homes.
So that's going to like lob right into my next question. I didn't think of it, but you just reminded me a question I wanted to ask. So, I mean, we joke about it sometimes here in the feed that, and you joke about it with anybody that lives in southern Vermont, that Vermont doesn't exist below Montpelier.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how would you look at, maybe not changing it because one person is going to change it, but how would you look at addressing that? Because it really kind of it's kind of, yeah, it's funny to laugh at, but it kind of seems a bit of a reality.
So I've never taken.
Never heard that?
No, I've never.
Sorry.
I've never backed off of a challenge.
Okay, there we go.
And when somebody
Good.
tells me I can't do it, now you've challenged me that I'm going to do everything in my power to succeed. And I think what we need to do is we need to start talking to the legislature, Montpelier, the powers that be, and tell them that what we need is control over our own local governments. So that would be if we need to create housing zones, say in the Rockingham area, right? Griswold Drive was a housing development. Kissel Hill was a housing development. We haven't done any of those in
You're right.
50,
In a very long
60
time.
years. So we need to create new areas where we're going to develop these new homes that are going to be single-family homes where working people can have an opportunity to go there. And as we heard last night, maybe it's opportunities for condominiums or townhouses. And so that we create this progression that you go from an apartment maybe to a townhouse, something you own equity into. So now being able to own your own home outside of there. But we have to start with that, and we have to create these, or this population decrease in the southern part of the state will continue to progress, and it'll probably progress faster than we realize.
Probably. No, I agree.
And I think, so we need to create more housing districts in our area to understand that's a need. We give incentives to certain corporations that come into our state by giving them tax breaks and that stuff. I think we need to create that opportunity for young working families or working families that are trying to get to that threshold to own a home. So maybe it's a break of property taxes for a couple of years, which hopefully gives them, if we've ever moved into a new house, there's always a bunch of expenses that you're not ready for. And you give them a couple of years to be able to get under their feet. And now we've created a larger tax base.
Right.
Now we have more people to hopefully defray the cost of our education, defray the cost of our emergency services and all the other ancillary things that are involved in our local governments.
100%,
And I think the
yeah.
local governments need more control and more help from the state to create those things to make that happen, because we're running out of time.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah. We have just about 2 minutes left, a little bit less than 2 minutes. So are there any closing thoughts that you want to leave the public with? And if people have questions for you, what's the best way to reach out?
So the best way to reach out, you can go to the website, which is Cota for Vermont. That's the number 4.com. You can learn about all the things that I'm trying to work on, and also it gives you a mailing address, and then also the email, which is Casey Cota at gmail.com.
Good job. I
I don't-
yeah, I have it right here. So yeah, you have to stop and think.
Yeah, I don't send myself a lot of emails. And you can reach out that way. Obviously, there is on the website, there is a phone number to reach out as well. Also, you can reach out on Facebook or Instagram. We do check those. Obviously, I don't check them all the time, but I do try and get back to people as quick as I can. And I think the important thing is I want to hear what people's concerns are. I want to know how I can help them to reach out. Obviously, I think affordability in the state is important because I want to see everybody be able to do better in their own lives and to watch their kids stay here, watch them grow up to be great citizens as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Casey.
I really appreciate it.
That's it for this week on the feed. We'll see you next week.
Bye, community.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music.